Okay, so welcome everybody. My name's Sterling Getz. I'm a Blender enthusiast. I'm an IT consultant by day, sort of Blender nights and weekends. We've been running this Westside LA Blender meeting for, gosh, I don't know, over a year now? Two years? Who knows? We met up at SIGGRAPH, decided it would be a really good idea to sort of get together, share some Blender tips. We've had some really great sessions here. This seems to be kind of a regular location for us. We love it. There's bagels in the back. They're free for everybody. We have like 24 bagels, so you all must eat one bagel before you leave today. This is our agenda. I'm going to give you guys a quick intro to what's new with Blender, just talk about some Blender news. We usually try to figure out kind of what's going on in the community. Then we'll jump into Mike's presentation on the work he did on CAP. We have Jorge doing a presentation on Blender Cycles Baking, which is an upcoming feature everybody's very excited about. We have some folks from Theory Animation online that will be doing a presentation on character rigs they're using, Ray and Clovis, which is an animation that they do. And then John's going to do kind of more of an introductory session, wrap us up with what, modifiers. Sorry, I assume it's an introductory overview session. Yep. Okay, exactly. So, and then, we'll have maybe a couple breaks throughout where we can stop and grab some coffee and water and so forth. Bagels. And bagels, yeah, more bagels. So I won't spend a lot of time on this because it sounds like we're all familiar with Blender in the room. But when we have our bigger meetings, there's usually one or two people that have literally never seen the package. So is there anybody in the room that hasn't seen Blender? Okay, great. We'll move along then. So the one thing I will mention is that most people are attracted to Blender because it's free, but they usually stay because there's a tremendous community behind it. And the folks that we meet here all the time just reflect that. A really amazing Blender community. So we've already kind of done the intros here, so I'm going to skip past this. So some of the developments since our last meeting. Hi, welcome, Sean. So, Mike, come on in, grab a seat. Mike, you were looking for a tracking expert. We just had one walk into the room.
You have to grab a bagel. It's mandatory.
Yeah, mandatory. Everybody eats bagels. So, last time we met was March 8th, I think, was our last meeting. So, since then, we've had Blender 2.70 released and 2.70a released after that. They keep doing these letter releases when they find kind of show-stopping bugs after release. Despite test releases, nobody seems to really test it until they actually release the full version. So with that came a whole bunch of really cool stuff, some experimental volumetrics, which everybody's excited about, UI enhancements. We got tabs, which, it was very controversial. Some improvements in the performance for game engine, new ways of navigating the 3D view, multi-threaded depth graph, all the rest of it. So there's a bunch of underlying great architectural stuff that's going on right now. What's happening in the moment is Google Summer of Code that's kicked off. I think we have like 4 Blender developer projects. I don't know, is anybody following that super closely? Yeah. A few less than last year, but still really awesome work. I'm looking forward to some of the stuff that's going to come out of there. So some work around rendering engine and other areas. So the Blender Foundation's been participating in FMX, which is a conference that happens in Europe. It's kind of like the equivalent, I think of it as the equivalent to SIGGRAPH. We're getting some really nice development work in FBX, import-export, being tested right now by some game studios. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a demo release for Octane Render for Blender from Otoy. So if you want to download it and play around with it, you can do that today. There's also work integrating Cycles into Rhino. So Cycles, the render engine that comes with Blender, the newer render engine that comes with Blender, has been released under, I think, what is it, the Apache license or some very liberal licensing that allows people to use it in other products. And so they've been doing work to redevelop it to make it more standalone with lots of API support. And that's starting to show promising signs. There are people interested in picking it up. And of course, the more people that build into their product, the better the code that we get.
If I I can interrupt real quick.
Absolutely.
It's being adapted as an external renderer for Rhino. One of the core devs is Jester King, aka I can't remember his name. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Absolutely.
I've been listening. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got some. I could dig up some screenshots if you're interested, but it looks really cool. There was a Cycles demo reel release, which is kind of neat. I guess they did that for FMX because Thomas Dingus, who is one of the developers on Cycles, does a presentation every year at FMX on what the status is. We're seeing some really awesome work. So Pixar has donated Open Subdiv. It's an open source component for doing subdivision. That's being built into Blender. We've seen some early video demonstrations of that, which are truly amazing. I don't know if you guys can see this. You know what, Sean, can you throw that light switch down? There we go. Hopefully it's more readable. So down here, this is a demonstration of the Sintel Dragon, which is very high polygon. And I know you probably can't read that, but I've taken a screenshot of Open Subdiv providing an OpenCL accelerated 30 frames per second of that. So if you're an animator, this is a really big deal. They got, I think it was like 49 frames per second using CUDA. So it's OpenMP, CPU, OpenCL, CUDA backend. Awesome, awesome work. So we may not see it until 2.72, or I'm not sure what their actual target is, but it looks very promising. We have some early work on Cycles Metropolis sampling. So I'm not a render expert, so I'll try to describe this, but effectively, this is a screenshot of it here. The demo file is a swimming pool with basically just a, I think it's a displacement modifier on the top and a glass window on the side, and it's literally just causing all these caustics on the bottom. There's some really, truly amazing demos that this guy is demonstrating. So anyone know MLT, maybe from their Lux render experience? Okay, anyways. It's exciting stuff. It's a major missing feature in Blender, and we're excited to get it. CG Cookies putting up a marketplace for add-ons, which might be interesting for those of us who do commercial add-ons. I don't know if that's just for their add-ons or if it's meant to be kind of a blend swap type thing. But yeah, that's coming soon. Ooh, who's Blender Guru?
Andrew Price.
Andrew Price, thank you. Has just released a new version of the Architecture Academy. I've actually purchased this and taken a look at it. I'm going through the videos now, and it is awesome. Really good stuff. Lots of excellent things in there. CG Masters has released, so they run competitions for Blender tutorials. They have a whole bunch of tutorial winners. So I always like to go out there and find some really excellent stuff. There's a group called Plasma Solutions, which is doing Blender developer sneak peek videos. So these guys are showing features that may not even have made it into Trunk yet. So really cool stuff. About every week or 2 weeks, they release a new video showing, sometimes it's a patch, sometimes it's you know, just a really early feature, and they're awesome. I recommend everybody check them out. They have a YouTube channel. There's some new DVDs out, Automatic Objects in Blender. I haven't taken a long look at this, but it looks like it's all about drivers and automating animation. Let's see. Yeah, and as always, if you're looking for work, SIGGRAPH has a good jobs board that I highly recommend checking out. There's all sorts of, I always like to jump on there and just see what positions are going in game development or VFX or, you know, kind of entertainment, advertising, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so what's coming in 2.1? Some pretty exciting features, actually. So Cycles is getting the missing pieces filled in. So deformation motion blur, it's a big one. This is there, although it's really challenging to see it with the size of these images. So I apologize. This is without motion blur. This is with motion blur. Smoke and fire. So if you look up here, we've got a demonstration of smoke. If you look over here, this was actually a test that I did with fire. Fire, it's slow, but it works well. It's really slow, and it's challenging to get some clear looking fire. But Jonathan, yeah, so thanks to Jonathan Lampel, he's got a really excellent Fire tutorial that is worth looking at, and that's my first attempts. Looks pretty bad until I went and refreshed my memory on how to do it right through that. Volume improvements. So volumetrics is currently pretty slow at the moment. They're adding new features all the time to make it more efficient. Cycles baking, which I won't spend a long time on because Jorge is going to cover that for us today. Freestyle, which is our non-photorealistic renderer, is getting textured strokes, which is pretty cool. So this is an example of textured strokes. The woman up there is an example of textured strokes. It allows you to make for kind of much more realistic hand-drawn style renders. Split normals. Does anybody want to take a stab at describing split normals? No.
I think it's just a way of selecting faces or edges and having their normals be like different to the rest of the mesh. I think it's like useful for game stuff where you want to have like let's say you have like a curved surface and you want to have like an edge somewhere. Basically, you just like that edge, make it like look separated, and basically you'll have like a little line there. It will look like, you know, like a break in the surface. I guess it's more for game.
It's a normal seam on purpose.
Right.
Rather than a normal seam you don't want.
Rather than, you know, you're forgetting to hit smooth shading and subdivision and all the rest of it. Yeah, that actually matches the demos I've seen, so thanks for that. F-curve easing was something I mentioned during our last meeting because we had a presentation on some motion graphics with Blender. So this is really cool. It allows for a lot of pre-made curve functions that allow you to do things like, you know, bouncing text or, you know, smooth intros and outros of objects into the scene. Pretty exciting stuff. That was a patch, and I suspect that the people doing the Blender development sneak peek got enough press showing off that patch that it made it into trunk. Yeah. So there's some annoying Windows issue that we fixed with updated Python support. I really don't know much about it. Didn't sound terribly exciting. FBX export. Sorry if you're a Python expert. I'm not on the scripting side of things. So FBX exporter is getting some work, and they're doing some work cleaning up the compositor, making the UI a lot more usable, some node refactoring, that kind of thing.
Do you know any more about that?
I can add to it.
Yeah, go for it.
The compositor cleanup or the FBX?
Sounds like
No,
compositor.
compositor.
Yeah. Wait and see.
That's a bad answer.
No, Lucas is working on
That's
it.
a terrible answer.
Lucas is working on it. AppMind's working on it. They're thinking about doing some architectural changes to allow quicker modification and easier addition of new nodes. It was supposed to coincide with the Gooseberry project, but since the Gooseberry project didn't get fully funded, they're kind of revitalizing things. I will tell you this, actually, as we speak, I think, if not the last few days, several people were at the Blender Institute having an in-person meeting about the compositor and some very relevant issues. And they're going to be addressing that and moving forward with code. They do have some time set aside to code and not only clean it up, but to, again, add more extensibility to the compositor, because they kind of painted themselves into a corner, from what I understand.
Yeah, it
It's
seems
been
like
hard
everything
to-
is like you have to exit the compositor to go do anything that you would ordinarily do in a compositor. I have to go outside the compositor to roto. I have to go
Right.
outside the compositor.
Yeah, Sean's in contact with them regularly too as a user, is an artist. I'm more on the developer side. I'm working with architectural, trying to get Blender to be less plumber oriented, to where they're just patching everything with what I have forced them to call spaghetti code. And now they're starting to actually use that term to say, okay, is it spaghetti code or are we doing architecture? So on the back end, I'm saying we need to address architectural issues, and that's what Tom keeps saying. So I don't want to take too much time on it, but
It just seems architecturally, it's designed, like the compositor itself is really, really slow. And then to do anything, you have to go outside of it.
right, that's an issue that comes up all the time. They want more integration with DSC, but Sean afterwards is a good person to talk to. Yeah, because he's from a user standpoint, he's also a direct contractor. We can talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, let's.
Is that keep it moving? It is being addressed to the best at this point. Blender can address it internally, and there's external people like Sean and I that are also providing some of this
you
pressure.
pitch 3 things about the compositor, and then suddenly you would absorb, like, you would get so many new users like migrating
Yeah.
from new old shake users,
Yeah.
old combustion users, old
I
after.
hate to say it, but Blender and Tom's heard that for 10 years. If you fix this feature, everybody will come to Blender. So they kind of get a little deaf to that aspect of it. But from us grunts that grind it out and work with the software,
Yeah,
that's what but I don't want to take too much time. Let's talk afterwards.
Affectionately ignore Tom.
Right. Right. We'll work on
In
that.
that way.
We have a big enough group in LA now to where we've got Sean and people and I and Sterling and whoever's directly connected with Blender. They listen to us a lot. And Chris, we're getting to know these people. So there's a really good relationship that's developing because we are using it. If I could back it really 1 second, I don't want to take too much time. There's some exciting stuff with FBX though. And the game engine support for importing Blender and the workflow with Unity, with the new Unreal 4 engine, with CryEngine, and some other things is really starting to catch on fire right now. I'm going to have a meeting where that's going to be the main focus of the meeting pretty soon. So if you're into game design at all, or even pre-visualization using the game engines, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. I've been collecting and hoarding some incredible information. Muguri, which is Mitchell Stokes, and Brita, which is a lady from France, is working on the game engine for Google Summer of Code. Muguri got a grant from Blender Foundation, so there's a lot of game engine integration, but also Blender workflow that's being done, like in handling units better, handling the grid better, so when you're sizing things up and matching things up. Plus, I'm also working on, with some gentlemen in Germany and with Lucas, one of the core developers, we're integrating a brand new updated version of the Fracture and Voronoi Boolean and Bisect tool into the modifier stack. So we got it working with smoke right now, so you can fracture with smoke in the modifier stack. So we got some exciting things coming. So, all right, we got to keep moving.
Yeah, that's all right. This is the part of the presentation where we ask everybody, is there anything we should be aware of as a group? So any books, classes, events, any CG or visual effects projects you want, you want to mention, any industry conferences that are coming up, anything else we should be aware of?
Just again to reiterate about your face global jam, I've got
About what, sorry?
Your face global jam. It's Bill Clinton in 1987 and drew a little surreal composition with a face to a song, and it was Oscar nominated, and that launched his career. He migrated from cartoonist to animator. He has just finished his 7th completely hand-drawn animated feature film, and now he's branching out he's executive producer on my CP animated feature, and he's working with another writer on another project, Tarantino style project. So it was kind of not under the Clinton aegis, but rather a loose conglomeration of independent animators all working together.
Is that the one?
That's
Okay, so for those online, we got like 14 people online. Yeah, we just mentioned there's a Your Face Global Jam coming up, May 24th. Wait, okay, that's the press release, May 24th. So the event is July, it looks like?
it closes the week after Comic-Con. So you can nominate yourself or
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Week from tonight, actually a free event at LA's SIGGRAPHON with a number of partners. So I have an outdoor exposition of digital graphics at in West Hollywood. Really the park behind the West Hollywood Library. It sort of goes back to a kind of the early digital graphics pioneers. There were a group that was in West Hollywood, and goes back to the opening of the Pacific Design Center. Actually, we'll have projections of digital graphics on the side of the West Hollywood Library for you, because it's also on weather balloon, other things that will state different presentations that will be there, having to do with things going back to some of the history of computer graphics, digital art, and things that are happening now. And this is all free. Yeah, this is it.
Okay, so for those who are online that may not have heard that, LA SIGGRAPH is throwing an event. Sounds like May 31st.
Yeah.
May 31st, by the way, if you're not a member of LA SIGGRAPH, I encourage you to check it out. I joined, I've attended a couple of their events, and it's really an awesome group.
Yes.
Some pretty influential people in the industry, and also just really interesting topics. They do a lot of presentations at places like Nomon, and you know, they do panels of lighting, rendering, animation experts. It's really fun.
Yeah, we're going to have actually a panel on the 25 years of digital cinema next month at USC. And Tom Sitsko is going to be the actual one that's putting together, well known within the entertainment and graphics community.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Anyone else? No? Okay, so what I will say, just closing out the news, Blender news. During our last meeting, we got the bright idea to get all of our Blender city-based groups online together on a certain day of the year. So I flipped a coin, picked August 23rd for no particular good reason, you know, while everybody was on summer vacation, I guess, and out of their home cities. I don't know if that was a good choice or not, but so far we have 11 plus cities who joined. We're talking to, what is it, 3 more at the moment. So I've been chatting to Mike Van in Vancouver, who's just starting up that group. So it's growing. We have a discussion group on Blender artists. If you know people that run other Blender groups, by all means, encourage them. Everybody's welcome. You know, I reckon, so Dave and I have been talking about how we could use the Zoom service, which we're using right now, to get up to 100 different cities online. So yeah, between now and then, it should be fun. We're hoping to get volunteer sessions from this group and do a follow the sun kind of session presentation. So, any questions on that? All right. So,
all right, guys.
Over to Jorge.
Okay, so again, I'm Jorge. I work in design studio. I do mostly motion graphics and some visual effects. For the last meeting we had here, we started talking about new features and stuff, and Sterling mentioned the new cycles baking. And I thought it could be like an interesting thing to check out. So that's the presentation I have for you today. It's basic, so forgive all the omissions, I guess. But I feel that you'll get a good idea of how it works and what's useful for, I hope. Give me just a few seconds here to open my files. And okay, so all right, so a little presentation about baking with cycles. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what is baking and what it's useful for. If it's too boring for you guys, just let me know and we can skip to the demo. Baking in computer graphics, not in cooking, I guess. It's like a process, it's like a word used for basically collecting information that's being generated and save it in a way in which the processor no longer has to calculate stuff, but basically it's saved either in a file, like a geometry, like a cache or something, or in the case of texture baking, which is what we're going to discuss today, saving like a texture file. So basically, instead of calculating lighting information in your scene in a model, basically you save that into a texture, and you just have to load the texture to the file, and you see all the cool stuff that was going on in that particular camera setting, of course. So that's what baking is. It's used mostly for game stuff, but I guess also it could be used to save time for rendering like architectural visualization, because basically if you don't have stuff moving around but just the camera, it might make sense to save that information in textures and not, overload the processor with more stuff and take way longer time for rendering scenes like that. Also, I thought it could multicolor 3D printing. Now that's becoming more and more, popular 3D printing, to print stuff that has like textures on it, you could use baking to basically incorporate the texture into your model so you can print it with color and stuff. Well, this is a little more technical, but basically it was just to showcase that even though it kind of works like a Blender internal baking engine, it basically, the data that you can bake, it's a little different, just as different as the passes. The render passes are different in Blender internal and cycles. So there are some things that are kind of the same, like the normal, you could bake normal maps from both and kind of works the same. The shadow passes, ambient occlusion, and the combined, which is called in cycles, and the full render are basically the same. It's just incorporating all the information from lights, textures, and everything into the bake. But there's also like more specific to each engine stuff, like subsurface, indirect, and color, direct passes. It's a little more technical, but it's basically the difference between the render engines that make the difference in the baking. Okay, basic setup that we need for baking stuff in cycles. First, to have whatever you want to bake, UV unwrapped. So basically preparing the texture coordinates to store information into. Obviously, if you're going to bake like lighting information from the scene, you have to have lamps or lights or something that emits lights, like an ambient, like a environmental texture or something. This is important, particularly for cycles. You have to have like what they call an active image, which is basically whichever material you're going to bake, you have to have like an image open in the node setup and select it. Basically, that's what cycles will use to store the information in, if that makes sense. Well, if you have multiple materials, you have to have multiple active images, one for each. That's basically the requirement. And also at the moment, CPU rendering only. We can't do this with GPU. I guess they're probably incorporated at some point, but as it is now, just CPU rendering. So it'll be a little slow. All right, so let's try to, sure, absolutely.
When you say you have an active image to bake that out,
yes.
What you're talking about, like I have a node tree, and now you have multiple images,
basically
into mixes and whatever, all that mixed.
Yeah, basically you have your setup, your node setup with all the, whatever you have, like you can have multiple textures and multiple shaders, but you have to have a single, even if it's not linked to anything, you just have to have like an image texture node that has like an image basically loaded already, and select. You have to have it selected. We'll see it in just a bit. Oh yeah, well, I mean, this won't work on official builds. So to try this out, you'll have to go to builder.blender.org and download whatever for whatever platform you're working on. But the official builds won't work yet. I guess next version is going to have all this in. But all right, so let's make something. This is my test scene. This one will just bake something simple. Basically, this monkey head here, as you can see, is it's a simple scene, but you can see that this information from the strong light here is bleeding into the monkey head on the back. We'll see in a minute when we bake this. It might take a little longer than it should. It takes like 30 seconds. And the bad thing about cycles baking now is also there's no feedback to it. So when you're baking, you see a progress bar, but basically it's not even going. It's just like saying it's working, but you can't see the progress or anything. And as like opposite to internal, when you bake something internal, basically you see like the strips of image of the polys, like being painted over your geometry in the UV editor, which is kind of nice because you get an idea of how long it's into it and how much you have to until it's finished. This one sadly doesn't do that as of yet. I guess they'll get to it, but. So this guy, as you can see, has been already UV mapped. That's one of the things we need to have for this to work. And the other thing, as I mentioned, and you asked about it, the active image, which is basically just, if you see, this is super simple setup, just has like a diffuse material. And this active image, it's basically just like a image texture node with one image loaded into it already. This guy, big, monkey, small, whatever. And you have to have it selected when you bake. So basically it knows this is the image that's gonna store this. At the moment, this image is just this black plane. So, okay, so as you can see, there's no baking option in here because I didn't open the right version of Blender. And so I have to close this thing and open the newest version. So basically, if you don't see a baking option, well, on cycles anywhere here, it just means this is not the right version. You just have to go and download the version from the builder.blender.org. So I'm going to quit this guy. I'm going to open and developer build that I downloaded last night. This guy right here. And let's go through opening this file all over again. We're almost there. All right, so same thing. As you can see, monkey's almost into the oven. It has its UVs. And now I moved it over to the top, just for commodity. But for normal preferences, it's always on the bottom of the property view here. But once you have it selected, you have your active image selected, just select what kind of data you want to bake. In this case, we'll just go combined, which is basically all the lighting information and stuff. And just hit. As you can see here, you get like some sort of leaves. All right. Well, basically,
mouse down.
Yeah, it's basically bar, which basically not really does anything, but it's running in the background somewhere. You don't see any feedback here, which would be nice also, and it's what happens in Blender internal. But the fact that you get the toolbar here just means it's running. So now this one's done, and as you can see, it just saved all the color information that was going on for this little guy here. As you can see, all the stuff that was like, all this light that was being emitted from that furnace there, it's being received by the back of the neck of the guy, and you can see that right here. And basically, you could say this, and use it for a whatever, like a game engine, or if you wanted to export your model for something like one of those WebGL model viewers online, like name eludes me right now, Sketchfab. Yeah, exactly. You could use this to get like a more nice look to your model, and before you had to do this in Blender internal only. So if you had like a model and you have like a nice like lighting and shading setup that you liked and you wanted to export that, you couldn't do it before, but now you can. There was something important that I remembered like 1 minute ago, but I just forgot again. It'll come back. Well, basically, this is it. This is basically what the Cycles baking system does right now. I have another scene here, like a simpler scene, in which we can see other different passes. If we can, yeah. So basically, this would be like different types of data that you could bake. We can try like different couple ones. Basically, this one, the lighting is exactly the one we did already. So I'm gonna skip that one. But if we wanted to bake, for instance, this one is kind of the same, but it's a node setup that's a little different. Basically, oh shoot, sorry. Basically, as you can see, this geometry here has two different materials. And this is just to show that you could do this for also like a setup, like a more complex setup that has like multiple materials in different parts of the geometry. You're not restricted to just one thing. So to do that, it basically works exactly the same. You just have to have your setup and an image, an active image, which is just a image node with an image loaded in it for both of the textures. So if you can see, both do have it. And if you select this guy, and then bake it, you could go and see the textures here. Let's make this guy also. This should, okay. Okay, this is, oh, it's a good thing that this happened because this reminded me of that important thing I didn't say. Apparently, sometimes to test out that the baking setup is working, it's good to try with a data pass that will work way faster than the older lighting because it won't have to calculate. So it's a good idea to try it with a UV pass first. Basically, what this does is just takes the UV geometry, the UV coordinates for your geometry, and basically maps like a color to each coordinate and basically lays it over. We can do that in the other scene also, so you can it shows better in a actual geometry, more complex geometry, not just like a plane, So basically, you want to check that your setup is right, that you have your UVs laid out and everything. You can just bake the UVs, and basically, we'll get you this. So when you get this, you know it's working because basically you have the coordinates assigned to your image, and basically the UV data mapped to it. Okay, that was that. And take again the combined thing, the combined information, I guess. So let's do that, and let's open that map. So again, no feedback at all except for this little line up here. But once you see it, you know it's working, and if it doesn't crash, you'll get an image in the end. This might be a little slower, but I'm gonna let it run just for the sake of it. But the other ones, like the other good thing you can do is you can also bake not just the whole image, but you can bake with procedural textures. It's a cool thing because you can create your texture like node setup and assign it to your geometry, and then you could bake it to send to another artist so he can paint on top of it and add more stuff. So basically, this one just saved all the information for this guy and put it in my texture. Even though there were two different materials, you can see as they got all in a single texture. So what I was saying, as you can see, you have this little procedural texture here called bricks. Yes.
What is that you're actually making? What is that?
It's just like a couple of cubes emitting light. Yeah, it's just like an emission shader assigned to them, just so I have some light going on. Nothing fancy. So as I was saying, the cool use for this could be like if you're changing your material, you can change your scale, your stuff, the colors, whatever. And then once you can have like a good base for it, you could bake it simply by baking the diffuse direct, which would be basically the color. And once you have the bake, which should bake really fast. Let me see, where is this? So it's baking, not as fast as I would like, but it's baking.
Sorry, that's probably more my laptop.
A little old guy, and he works decently, but this has been definitely faster, so that's a good thing. I thought this one would render way faster. But do we have questions there?
Yeah, is that a question from someone online?
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. This is weird. I would have thought that maybe I think it should have been diffuse color, and that would have rendered super fast. There you are. Basically, this would give you a good starting point for to pass to another artist and keep improving into it if you're in a environment in which you collaborate with something else. Go and edit in GIMP or whatever if you needed to. Also, super nice. You can bake normals. If you see this guy here, it's like a little geometry, some little pyramids. Basically, instead of having to calculate that for if you wanted to have that kind of texture, you could bake that into a simple normal map and apply it in a node setup in a way in which that is saved, basically, and you'll have like the same effect with a less processor-intensive method, I guess. So we can try that too. So to do that, you do what they call baking active, selected to active. Basically, just select first the object that has the geometry you wish to bake to the other one, and then you select the object that will receive the thing. So in this case, this guy. If I can select it, there you are. And then you go to normals, because that's what you would want to bake. And let me open it here so we can see the result when it's done. And click this guy, selected to active, sorry, and just hit bake. This should bake pretty fast too. Sometimes if you get no results with this, like I didn't, it might mean that the distance here is set too low. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a little bigger. Try again. There you are. So basically this one is like the resulting normal map of baking this geometry to this plane. And you could use that to generate like a material that looked like it had that thing, like I already had it set up here. But basically it's just like a plane with no geometry but 4 vertices, but the look is kind of the same. So basically that saves a lot of time for rendering time, and it could be used, as I said before, for game engines and stuff that handle this types of textures well, and require less geometry than feature films or whatever. Sorry. And this one is basically the same thing, but instead of baking from a separate object, it's baking from a multi-res setup. So if you have a multi-res modifier applied to your geometry and you have done some sculpting or whatever, you can also bake that to a normal map for later usage, which we'll do right now. Basically, it's the same setup. Just select your guy, and instead of selected to active, you just unclick this guy, because the actual normals will come from the multi-res modifier. Select your normals map. Sorry. And bake, and there you are. Basically, just it creates the same thing. And we could actually set this node up so you could see the results here. But I think you get the point. So, sure, absolutely.
What's the advantage of using cycles to do that rather than just a regular old-fashioned baking method if you're just doing normals and these or something?
There's none. It's basically the same. Yeah, but I mean, that for the data passes. But I find that they work almost the same in terms of speed. So if you're already working in cycles for your scene, you don't have to go back and change your renderer to Blender internal to do this. You can do it here. But obviously for the other, for the color, for using the lighting, the robust lighting, methods or whatever that Cycles has, you can't do it back here. But the data passes, it's basically the same stuff.
When you're baking, does it calculate samples? And is it?
Yes, basically, I feel.
Can you repeat the questions to the people online?
Yeah, when he asks if when in baking, it's calculating samples, and I'm not that much of a technical-minded guy, but I guess the same sampling, like configuration you have for your renderer is the one that's going to be applied when you bake. So basically, if you had lower samples in your render, when you render you see grainy stuff and noisy, basically if you bake, you'll kind of see the same stuff. That's a good question. I don't think that the normal pass would be affected by that. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the sampling would affect the data passes like the UV1 or the normal map, but it would affect like ambient occlusion or like illumination, all the other ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, well, I mean, that's it. That's the information I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, it was not very boring.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
What does it need to be better?
What does it need to be better? I feel that it's pretty much up there. It's really good. I feel that it could improve the usability of it. I mean, that thing that it doesn't give you any sort of like feedback of, okay, I'm running, apart from that little task, that progress bar that doesn't even, complete. It's just there and it's running, but that's it. Also, it's nice, like it works in the Blender internal one. Basically, you can see the image being painted poly by poly into your coordinate system in your UV editor, which is nice and also gives you an idea of how long it's been running for and how's it going. I feel also the way in which they have the way in which you have to set up your material, having like a texture that's not connected to anything that you have to have selected. It's a little clunky. It works, but I feel that it should be, maybe it should be like, I don't know, taken care of in the baking part. Yeah, like a little drop down or something.
Is any of that scriptable?
I guess.
Like, if, for example, I wouldn't want to bake one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That would drive me crazy. If I have a whole set that I want,
yeah, like a whole
bake
scene.
all the lighting into, and then only really light my characters or whatnot.
Yeah.
Through the set. I want to bake all of that. And those are all separate objects with materials that are very complex.
Yeah.
And I want to, I mean, this way, it seems like you would have to go in each thing.
Yeah.
How to put it. So if that was scriptable, then
it's scriptable. It would just go through all the objects.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Select different nodes and select them and bakes and command.
And then not only that, then the second step would be now prep all of my, like replace all the textures I've got on here with the new baked materials and then
swap them all.
Yeah, swap them all out.
Yeah, I guess it's definitely probably scriptable because all the API Blender exposes for Python and stuff. It shouldn't be. I mean, I don't. I can say anything definitive, but
that'd be useful. That'd be great.
Yeah. So I feel that there's also a bunch of features they're working on that might improve into that kind of stuff. I've heard something that I have no idea what it means, but I feel it's probably oriented to that, what you're saying, that they call it cage baking. Maybe has to do with like defining a domain in which you bake everything that's in it. I don't know. That's my interpretation of the word, but I think that might be like something in the future that.
Well, that's kind of how V-Ray used to work, or before RT, where you would get a cloud of light data that would just be baked into a cloud at a sample size, a three-dimensional sample size. So that'd be neat.
So it's a work in progress, I guess, but I feel so far it works nice. It has future to it. All right, any more questions?
Not a question. Would you mind making an announcement for me?
Sure.
I'm Robin Rowe. I'm chairing a Linux graphics conference in the fall, and I'm looking for speakers. So if anyone wants to apply for that, I'm Robin at dashtv.com.
Sorry, what's the name?
Robin at Dash TV.
Dash TV?
Dash. Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
TV.
Dash TV.
Okay. So if you like, I don't know if people can hear on me, because I don't have a mic. So.
I can check it.
Yeah.
Let's pull up
in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, the chat?
Either way.
I'll take care of it.
Okay, okay, great. Whoa. All right, that's it.
Awesome.
All right. Oh, there was I remember I had some like personal stuff I was working on. If you guys feel we have still some time,
absolutely,
I might want to show some of this. So as I told you guys, even though I'm more on the like commercial making stuff, I'm trying to move more into the character like building. So there are some characters I've been working on in the past, like a nice Lego guy. This is a camel I built for a class I was taking. I rigged him also. I don't know if any of you recognize this girl from a cartoon called Adventure Time, which I like a lot. This was for Yeah, this was for a competition. I remember a competition for like making a minion, like a custom minion guy.
Is that static or is there animation?
No, it's static. All of them static so far. I mean, they're rigged. They could be animated, but yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I haven't had the time to get into any of that. This was also, I've never seen the cartoon, but it was like a competition the class I was taking for making a Saint Seiya character, like an anime thing. This was like a pirate also for that class.
So do you open source these, or what happens to them?
So far, yeah, I haven't shared much of it, but I should actually put them up in BlendSwap or something.
You got a problem with the temperature?
Guys, we're fine.
It's cooler.
Yeah, it's getting a little warm. If we could bump it.
Somebody
called. I'm going to, if we could bump it up a little bit. It's all the way on. I don't know. There might be a window here. I can put a jar, or I can open up the. No, if it's all the way on, that's fine.
We could. That's fine. We'll open the doors more.
It's
to get a little bit more.
It's not coming out very strong. I'll venture that. Yeah, I couldn't feel it at all. Let's see. Let's just settle.
Another pirate guy.
That's fine. I appreciate it. If it's all the way on, that's what it is. Thanks. Sure.
So I think I've seen you have some of these up on Sketchfab, right?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, for sure. There's another pirate guy. As you can see, there's a pirate theme to my characters. And this one's like a little computer, old school computer guy I was working on. This is the last I've been doing. I'm rigging him, and in theory, at some point, it should be animated. This is a GIF that kind of goes away, but it's working. Never mind. But I mean, that's kind of my stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Hope you guys like it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, all right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Dave, are you online? Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can see you. That was a pretty awesome presentation.
Yeah, this has to be the coolest demo file I've ever seen for baking. You really need to get some of these images, I think, up to the, there's like a release guide that shows examples of baking, and all I've seen is Caminende so far, but yeah, some of these would be great.
Absolutely.
So Dave, we've got JP slotted into our next session here.
Yeah,
so
there we go.
Just to let you guys know, Dave from Theory Animation is the one that hosts our online portion of the meeting for the Zoom broadcast. Does a great job. He's a great partner. Lives here in LA. He's in Florida now with Theory Animation, but they work all over the world. We're great that he's still involved with the group here. Fantastic guy, fantastic member. And if you could say a little bit too about Theory Animation, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to share here just the whole computer. So this is who we are. We're Theory Animation. We're an online animation studio. We produce a show right in Clovis that hopefully you've heard of it. And if you haven't, you have today. So you can go to theoryanimatio.com and just check it out. It's a fun little series. I always tell people it's like a throwback to the old school cartoons from the 50s and 60s. Nothing that's too vulgar or crazy, but something that is still really funny and loved by all. Family-friendly kind of stuff. We produce Rain Clovis. We also release other short films. We're going to be releasing a brand new short film. We're going to keep it all under wraps, but it's going to be coming out at the end of this summer. So I encourage everyone to visit theoryanimatio.com/newsletter. Sign up for a newsletter to find out everything you can about it. And we also host a series of tools. We make this thing called the Make Theory, which I guess since I'm going to be posting this online, everybody gets to see it. But Make Theory is the engine that powers Theory Animation. It's the ability to work on projects remotely. Some people have compared it to Shotgun or Basecamp. I say that we're totally different in that it's really focused towards animation, and it's super simple. You don't need a PhD to customize it and to run it. It just works right out of the box. And it hooks right into Zoom, which is what we're using right now for our meeting. So this is Make Theory. We're going to be releasing this at SIGGRAPH this year up in Vancouver. We're going to do like a little promo and everything and tell everybody about it. If you'd like to know more, if you're interested in running your own project, just contact me. It's david@theoryanimatio.com. And again, I really suggest that you visit our newsletter. Super amazing stuff that's coming out this summer. And I wanted to share just really quick, right before JP goes
David?
Yeah?
There we go.
Yeah, you still got me?
Yeah, we still got you. I think we just had a network hiccup. But yeah,
Okay.
keep
So
going.
I always do this before meetings. I show off some stuff that we're working on. So this is the new Ray Clovis. We're going to learn that Ray works at a radio station. This is still a ways off, but I just wanted to show off some of the art that a great Blender artist, Dion Theakstone, has been working on. And that's the name of the radio station. It's called The Noise. It's a cool little place. I just wanted to show off. Really proud of the artwork and how we're trying to step up the game on the new Ray Clovis episode. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to JP. JP is our rigging artist. He's completely rebuilt Ray and Clovis for the new season. Awesome, totally awesome rigs. Some of the best rigs I've ever worked with. When I was at Rhythm and Hues working over there, I thought those were amazing, and these are just on par. It's awesome. So with that, JP, I'm going to hand it over to you. So take it over, man.
Okay, hello everyone. How are you?
I'm just going to turn on the lights here. Everybody wave at JP. This is the room you're talking to. At least half of the room.
Hi, JP. It's me, buddy. JP.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm Juan Pablo Bouza, and well, I'm in Argentina, so I'm far away from you. So let's see. Let's share the screen. Let me see. Blender, so, are you seeing Ray now?
Yes, we are.
Cool. Well, let me start. Well, this actually, I don't know if you know something about me. I have a rigging system that has been around for about 8 years, which is called Blender. I don't know if you heard about it. Did you?
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've been working with Blender since 42, I think, and Blender was released in 243, the first release of it, and I won the Susan Award and the first animation I did with the system, which was called the Dance of the Bashful Dwarf. It was a naked dwarf. I don't know if you remember it. It was 2007, I think. And well, the system has been growing since then. And well, now I've been working in a movie called Kiribati. I don't know. It's a Blender feature film. I don't know if you heard about it.
We did now.
Okay. Do you see the web browser, or what are you seeing about my screen?
Blender.
Blender. Okay. So let me see. How do you change? Because it's the first time I use Zoom. So.
Sure. There should be a button at the top, and you can click share. See that?
Yeah. To stop the share and.
Yeah. Stop it and then restart it again.
Okay. So we do that.
This guy
See?
just to do this for us. So he's being a big.
He installed Windows just for you.
Wow.
That's a sacrifice.
That is.
Yeah, I had to install Windows because I use Linux. I've been using Linux exclusively for about 6 years or so, and I use open source software exclusively. I don't know if you heard. Well, I'm gonna do a little introduction to myself. Apart from Blender, last year I finished a Blender feature film, which is called Cronopios and Famas. Do you see the Blender Nation news here?
Yep, we see it.
Okay, so well, you can Google it or watch the video, the trailer in YouTube. And let me see where I am. Well, these are actually now the last version of Blender the rigging system of mine I published was version 4, and now my personal site is down. So, but still the models and the rigs are available at BlendSwap. Here they are. And then, well, I told you about Kiribati. This is the feature film that I'm working at right now, and it is, well, the Chronopios, the other feature film. Then you want me to play the video or something?
Yeah.
Well, let me see, because I think I've got the. Sorry, Dave, about this personal publicity. Just want me to. Let me see. We have.
If you want, you could probably post the link in there, so it'll be a little faster for everybody at the meeting. That might be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But wait, I've got the trailer here. Just a quick view.
Okay.
Where is? Wait a minute. Stop sharing. Share screen.
That sounds like you, JP.
Yeah, I'm cutting it now.
Well, here's the. Do you see the video?
Yes, we do.
It's very choppy.
Okay, this is a kind of mix between motion graphics and 3D, the feature film, and it's going to be premiered in August here in Argentina, and currently is going to some festivals in Europe. And well, I had been working I worked with this film for about 4 years. A very small team. We were like just 7 guys working on it, and well, all with free software, mostly GIMP, Blender, and I did the audio editing with Ardor and Blender. And well, if I were in Linux, I could show you how Blender and Ardor work together with an audio system called Jack. You can synchronize the Blender video editor and Ardor, so that is cool. But well, this is a little trailer. Stop it. Well, and now we're going to see the Ray and Clovis thing. So, well, now you see Ray, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, well, this is actually a rig that I started working for the feature film Kiribati. And well, it will be Blendrig 5 when I have the time to publish it. Blendrig is a free rigging system that can play along with Rigify. You can use it. You can choose whether to use Rigify, Blendrig. It's an auto system and skinning system. Auto rigging and skinning system. Sorry. It uses mesh deform as its main deforming technique. And well, the system has the ability to be able to retarget the rig for a new model, or maybe also retarget already modeled rigged characters. I've got, if you look for Blendrig in YouTube, you'll find some tutorials about it. But well, I'm not encouraging you to use it right now, because I'd like to publish Blendrig 5, because Blendrig 4 is like 2 years old, So, well, this is Blendrig 5, and so here we have a panel where we have all the layers, and we also have some sliders, IKFK, snapping the hinge slider, you know, for making things stay stationary. Let me see. Let's see. Let me close this. Let's see. So, well, one of the features I have, for example, is automatic hiding of the controllers, whether you are in FK or in IK. So, for example, if I put the arm in FK, you see that the FK controls appear and the IK controls disappear. Now I'm going to back to IK. Well, you have all the features with the hand, you know, some automatic movements that you can do. Like these ones, you know, finger spread. You can also scale it to have some movement like this one. Well, the rig, I don't know if you have used Rigify. It's similar to it. Both rigs are equally advanced, you know. I have several differences in some controllers. Like, for example, I have an IK torso that you can move, like in IK mode, you know. But it's a double IK, because you can move the torso from the upper controller, and you can also move it from the hips.
Oh, nice.
And it behaves like a double IK, you know.
You gotta show them the breathing control too.
Yeah, well, the breathing controller here, let me see.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Well, there's something I didn't mention. I was the rigger of Caminandes 2, you know, the Blender short film, the last short film that was done. And I also participated in the Gooseberry trailer. I did the robot ship from CG Cookie, and also the space dog. Those were mine. So, well, you have. I'm not gonna mention all the features that it has, the common features, but some maybe peculiar features. Like, for example, we have a pivoting point for some controllers that act as a pivoting point. So here with the foot, you can rotate it from the standard way, in the standard weight. But if you move this controller, you have another pivoting point that you can define. You know, you can rotate it from wherever you want. And I must say, I'm not a coder, you know. This is all my rigging system is based on just Blender rigging techniques, not code. Now I'm thinking of when I hope that when I release Blender 5, I hope to be able to add some system to automatically add limbs and, you know, different heads, torsos, like different presets of the body parts, like in a certain way, like Rigify, you know. Well, the same with the torso controller. You have this torso controller, and you have this other, like this cross controller that gives you another pivoting point, you know. Well, another feature, for example, is that I have an inverse torso. So, for example, I'm going to put the torso in FK. So the default behavior for torsos in general is that the hierarchy goes from the bottom to the top. So if you rotate the bottom controllers, the top controllers are like the children of the bottom controllers. But in some cases, when a character is flying over or something, or if he's like this, you might want the torso hierarchy to be inverted. So we've got that one. So now, for example, if I move this one, the hierarchy now, it is inverted. So the upper controllers are the parents of the lower controllers. So for example, we could do with this, well, a flying scene, for example, if the character was flying, and you want to adjust how his body behaves, you can do it like this. The other way, in the other hierarchy, in the standard hierarchy, it will be much difficult because you have to counter animate a lot of controllers. So with this mode, you get a cool way of controlling things. And for example, if we are doing, let me see, a scene where the character is walking with his hands, you could do the animation and control the body like this. So the part that is stationary is the upper part of the body. And well, you can do things like this that you could never do with the other control mode, I don't know if you understood anything of what I said, but
He can do handstands. He's trying to say it can do handstands.
Yeah, something like that. Well, let me see. Here we have also the ability to do, well, let me put all this back where it belongs. We have some stretchy IK things also, some sliders that let you do stretchy IK. For example, if I enable it, you have stretchy IKs. You can also scale all the parts of the body individually, and well, you have a stretchy IK for the head, for the torso, for the legs and arms, anything you want. And we also have some toon controllers that will let you do the rubber hose thing. But I added the ability to also kind of tweak the Bezier curve, by rotating. So you can do all kind of deformations. Also for the head, And we also, well, you can scale everything you want. We also have some general scale controllers, so you could just scale the leg. Let me see. So you can scale everything up,
Rayzilla.
Yeah. And you still keep the IK behavior, the mechanisms just work correctly,
This is Ray in Salvador Dali mode.
So, well, you can do a lot of different toony stuff with this. And, well, I think that finally, let me see.
Best for last, face.
Yeah. Yes, I think that we're about to see that. Well, the cool thing about, well, the thing that I'm most proud of with this development I've done is the facial rig. And the facial rig, it's the same facial rig that Caminandes 2 has, because I actually developed it for the Kiribati feature film. And it's a a facial rig based on bones. It has some. The good thing is that you can have, from very easy controlling. You can control it very easily, very basic. You have very basic controllers. Like for, here it's like an automatic way of making him talk. It has collision detection in the lips. You can. This is based on bones. Let me see. I will show you the actual rig. This is the actual rig. It is based on bee bones. So everything it's like a very advanced rig, but you can control it very easily, and you can also tweak it a lot. So well, you have this automatic controller that lets the character talk. You can tweak the corners. Well, I'll turn off the bee bones. The corners as you want. It has a lot of automated things. Like here I'm moving the mouth corner up, and also the cheek moves. And also the eyelid moves a bit. This is so it works kind of in an organic way. It has like an organic feel that it's nice. We also have some controllers for the lips, I think. Let me put it in with subserve because this is not subdivided. Here, so you can see a little bit more of detail. So we have this lip controller. Well, also we have collision detection for the eyelids. And well, this is the basic layer. We have an extra layer of controllers. Let me take this. That will let you, for example, here are some controllers that will let you move the mouth all together. You also have the lips controllers, to have individual tweaks in the lips, and this is all based on as I said, on these bones, on the facial rig that is based on bee bones. And I also have some corrected shape keys, not many, but just for crucial expressions, like when you do a U vowel, for example. But this is created with the bones, but I just make some tweaks in the mesh for the specific pose so that it doesn't break, And we also have, let me see, well, different controllers for the lips. Well, you can tweak anything you want, You can also tweak the eyelids. This also is based on bones. And you can also scale the pupil and the iris as you wish. You can also, well, let me see. Well, I also added that. You can also have them control the teeth separately and the tongue. Let me check. And the tongue has a kind of, you can control it in a kind of FK mode. But you also have these extra controllers that kind of give you an IK feeling, that is actually the same way you can control the tail. You know, you have this, for example, this generic controller, and you can also control it with the FK bones and also with this kind of IK thing. And well, finally we have another super extra layer for the face, where you can see all these little controllers that appear that will actually let you control every joint that the facial rig has. You know, this is just for ultimate tweaking, you know. So you can control every little joint that we have in the face rig. It's kind of too much, you know, just like for kind of modeling the face. It lets you model the face again, you know. And well, I don't know what else. Well, you can separate the eyes if you want. There is a slider also for.
Never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Halloween episode.
Yes.
Take this off. There is a slider here also for making this look controller to make it child of the head, you know, as here when I move the head, also the look controller moves along with it. Or you can put it like this, and this way it is in the torso, so it is parented to the torso now. So if I move the head, you know, the look is just stays there, and when I move the torso, the controller moves along with it. Or you can make it just free, you know, and you can move the whole rig, and you can place the look controller wherever you want, and the character will look at that controller. So well, a lot of different control possibilities. We have some controls for the hair, and also you can control it individually, you know. And what else? Well, I must be forgetting about many things. I don't know if Dave.
I think, you know, I think you hit all the major points, and Clovis is more or less the same, as tons and tons of controls. But the beauty of it is that we don't actually need to use all of them. We have that main rotator control there for the spine. We have a control for breathing. For the fingers, we can just scale the hands, the little scale controls on the hands. Yeah. And then for talking, he had the main one. You had the big one, the one on the far right, the big circle one for the hands. And then for talking, it's just the one in the middle. You know, it's just that one. Yeah, there it is. There's the fist control. So easy hand controls, hand poses we're super fast now. And then for talking, that's actually the best part, is that we used to have these really complicated phenome libraries to hit all these shapes, and now really it's just one control. You know, rotating, scaling, moving it. It's fantastic how malleable these characters can really be. And I'm really thankful we have JP on our team, and we're really pushing the look. This is Ray's cousin, Roy.
His cousin Roy.
Question for JP. You said that you're aiming to release BlendRig 5. Do you have a time frame for that?
Well, I'm hoping to do it in, I don't know, August. I'm hoping now to finish with my work in Kiribati, so that I have some more free time, and maybe I'll start working on that on BlendRig 5 when I stop working on Kiribati. Yeah.
Excellent.
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
How easy is it to adapt this to a different character?
Did you hear that question, JP?
Now.
How easy is it to adapt this rig to a different character?
Well, it is very easy actually. I should just send you the link. Wait, that I find a link. Let me see.
Is there a way we can see the weight map? JP, when you're done with that, show us the weight map.
The what?
The weight map.
Just cut off. Ah, the weight map. Yeah.
Good question.
Wait a bit. Well, the weight map, actually, we don't have a weight map. What for the... So you mean the weight painting? How did... Yeah.
Yes.
Well, basically, the thing is that the main weight painting is done to the mesh deform model, not to the main character. So that is why when you, well, I'll show you now. If, for example, here I have in the rigging section, the reproportion section, so I can put all the bones in reproportion mode. So here I can, for example, start tweaking all the length of the rig and of every part of the body, you know. And this, when you're ready for baking it, you can just push this button, press these buttons, and the rig will be baked in the current position. And so that way you can adapt it to new characters, you know. You just put it in pose and you bake it. And the good thing is that the mesh deform model is also baked with that. So you can just have to adapt this mesh deform model a bit to the new character, you know, you have, and then you just bind it, and I know in no time, like in 10 minutes, maybe you can have the character really moving, you know, with basic movements, the body movements, and then the rest of the body parts, like the head and the hands and the feet, those are weight painted traditionally with the armature modifier, you know. Let me see. Well, this is just standard weight painting. And with the face, maybe you were talking about, you wanted to see the face. Nah, it's very simple actually. I just paint all the loops, the vertical and horizontal loops, and that makes it work really good. And then if I, for example, in some key points, you know, like some very specific vowels, like U, the U vowel, I kind of make some shape keys for fixing things that are wrong. And then, well, let's see the shape keys. Let me see. Well, there are some, I don't know if you see them, some shape keys for the mouth, for the U vowel. There are a lot of shape keys for the U vowel actually, because I kind of separated the U vowel in upper U and lower U for the, you know, the maxillar and the rest of the face. So that's why there are some more U vowel fixes. Well, there are some shapes for the mouth corner for when I put it out, but not much more, you know. U, mouth in, cheek, mouth corner. Well, there's a shape key for inflating the cheeks, for example. Let me show you.
question, Chris? Yes. It seems to be like Rigify.
Does that level of flexibility you were talking about also apply for the face part of it, or the face is more custom built for this particular character?
The rig actually works pretty well, but for this particular character, well, no, it's just the same rig that I had. You know, just tweak certain things in some areas, but I didn't. It is not customized. You know, it's just the same rig. Let me show you Clovis if you want. That has a different face, but also has the same rig. Let me show you. Here's Clovis. And here's his facial rig. Just the same rig. You know, you just have to tweak some parameters of certain constraints. Not much, not many constraints. And for example, well, if you want me to talk more technically, for example, all this grid is kind of controlled. Let me see where I have. For example, the mouth corner controller, when you move it outwards, you know, you have all these controllers that are in the joints follow the mouth corner controller with a transformation constraint, you know, and I kind of tell. Let me see. Well, there are a couple of transformation constraints for following the mouth corner, and I do have as transformation constraints would be really messy for doing the U vowel. I opted for making the U vowel with an action. So there is a mix of constraints in the controllers that let you do all this and control it in a very easy way, you know. And the result is much better than with shape keys, you know, with a facial rig based on shape keys. This is much more powerful, I think. And well, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Any other questions for JP?
Just to clarify, this is Blend Rig 4, or is he showing us the beta of 5?
Did you get that question, JP? Is this Blend Rig 4 or beta of 5?
It is beta of 5, yeah. Yeah.
How much capacity are in 4?
How much of this functionality is in 4, JP?
Sorry, what was that?
How much of this functionality is in the currently released Blend Rig?
Blend Rig 4. Well, I can show you Blend Rig 4 if you want. I can open it. This has many improvements, you know. Mainly Blend Rig 4 didn't have all the tune and scale abilities that this rig has. So I can show you all these rubber hose things. They weren't there. And also the face. Let me open Blend Rig 4. The guy is naked, so you should be aware of that. Let me see.
You're easily offended. Cover your eyes.
Yeah.
Barbie figurines. Digital Barbie, digital bucket figurines.
Us Californians are liberal.
Everybody walks around naked, so it's okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So this is the model that you can find in Blend Swap. It's kind of the same. For the basic controllers, it's very similar, you know. And the good thing about mesh to form, and you know, I did a lot of studying about the mesh to form topology, you know, for obtaining the best deformation result. For example, you can see that this guy can just move, and you know, for example, look at the shoulders. You see that the shoulders can move to really extreme positions and it doesn't break, you know? And this is all mesh deform. It doesn't have shape keys, you know? It's really nice. Some nice tricks of mesh deform. For example, here in this part, you see that I don't have any middle loop here, so that prevents the joint from shrinking here, you see. And also, for example, and this mesh deform mesh is just the same that I used in Ray and Clovis, you know. I didn't do anything new. It's just the same that I just scaled down and well, adjusted it a bit to the characters' shapes. And another trick is, for example, the use of triangles here and there, because triangles they tend to preserve volume in a better way, you know, because they have the middle loop. You know, if you see them like the polygon that if it was a square, you know, if you have two triangles, you have the middle loop, the middle edge here, and that middle edge lets you preserve volume in a better way than just the standard polygons, you know. And another thing about this one was that the facial rig, let me see where the controllers were, because they have changed. The face rig is based on mesh deform also. I'm gonna hide this one. You know, I had these like two mesh deform masks, and those masks were the ones that deformed the face. But this one didn't have any automatic way of controlling the face. All the facial rig was developed for Blender 5, you know. And what else? Well, I think that's about it.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, JP. Really excellent demonstration. Everybody.
All right. Hi, I'm John. I think I introduced myself earlier. A couple of people came in afterwards, so.
We're back, David. Oh. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah.
All right,
so anyways, I'm John. I'm just last. Thank you. I appreciate that. So last meeting. Yeah, no, it's okay. Last meeting, when 2.7 was released, I made the comment, well, are we going to get a demonstration on the new modifiers? And then I was talked to afterwards and said, hey, we were wondering if you would do a demonstration. And then they allotted me a lot more time than I thought to modifiers needed. So I thought maybe I'll go over what modifiers are, because it seems like every meeting we have people who say, you know, what is that? That's kind of ambiguous, or they say they're really new. So I thought, all right, well, here's modifiers. In Blender, a modifier is a automatic operation that is non-destructively changing your object. And what that means, it's an effect, essentially. It's an effect on your object that is just can be turned off, can be hidden, or can just be deleted and you still have your object unchanged. Modifiers can help you build something, they can help you shape something, or they can help you animate your whatever it is you're trying to animate. And the reason I'm saying whatever it is because you can use it on a mesh object, you can use it on a curve. Modifiers are pretty diverse. So I think the best way to get a better understanding of what they are is actually demonstrate it. And from what I understand, we have 15 minutes, so I'll give you the short version.
You can go over, that's fine.
We can go over? Okay. So
it depends if we get kicked out of the room or not, but yeah, why don't you just keep going and
so
see what happens.
Yeah, so I got this default cube, and just so you all know, I'm starting super basic, and I'll probably progress for everybody who knows what we're talking about, and maybe we'll talk about some modifiers that are less popular. I think would be fun. But for now, I'm just going to start very from the top, very, very beginner. So anyway, so this is just a default cube. And in your properties panel, if you go to the wrench button, that's where your modifiers can be accessed. And I'm just going to add a modifier to it. And here's a pretty simple modifier. It's called the array. And what it does is it duplicates your object. In this case, it's duplicating it once, and you can change the count. You can change the space in between them and the 3 different axes. So every modifier is going to create a little portion here where you can, you know, it'll say what it's called, and you can change the name. You can turn it on and off in the render and also in the preview. Each modifier is going to have different values that you can change depending on what the effect is that it's giving you. And most of them have an apply, whereas if I apply this, you'll notice the modifier goes away here, but now it's actually made real. So, all right, and the last thing I'm going to show with this particular modifier is you can specify an object. Right now I'm just going to add, for the sake of visualization, I'll put a sphere in here, right? Okay, so the sphere, let's just name it controller. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it's common for many modifiers, but you can add an object to actually affect the modifier. So as you see, if I move the sphere, the offset of this arrayed cube moves as well. In fact, let me go ahead and add some more count to that. And based on where this controller object is, you can see the effect of the modifier changing a lot. So very powerful. I would say modifiers are your explosive tools, in my opinion. You know, I think you can do so much with them, and I think getting a handle of them can really improve your work. So.
Also, if you rotate the control object, you'll affect it, isn't it?
Exactly, right. So control object has a lot of power. What if you didn't catch what he said? Right now I'm actually rotating that sphere, which is the control object, and it's causing my array modifier to have a lot of, you know, a lot of neat control. So
have you been following Mike Pan's default cube contest?
I've heard of it, but no, I haven't.
So he's having a whole contest where everybody does modeling with nothing but the default cube and modifier.
Sure.
And people are coming up with the most amazing images. It's astonishing what you can do with just a cube and some modifiers.
So for those of you listening in online, there's a comment about the default cube contest that
by Mike Pan.
By Mike Penn.
Pan.
So Pan.
Yeah.
So and basically it's a contest where you take the default cube and just with modifiers you can do all sorts of things with it, and people are coming up with some great things. So moving on. So again, this is pretty basic, but I'm just going to go over these 3 modifiers, which are very, I think, essential. You know, you hear about them a lot. They're extremely popular. The first one is the mirror modifier. Now, the mirror modifier did not actually cut this cube. I did that before you guys came in from the break, but I cut this cube in half. What the modifier does is it actually mirrors the geometry. This is great for if you're making facial expressions. You know, if you need to make a car where both of the sides are going to be the same, it's a very powerful tool. I'm talking, but I'm not really actually doing anything, so let me just kind of shape this. So you can see that it mirrors it. But it doesn't only mirror it in one way. You can tell it to mirror it front to back as well as up and down. So that's one example. The next is subsurface. I'm not really, like, I'm an artist, I'm not really technical. What I can tell you about the subsurface modifier is every time you increase the value, it multiplies how many faces by 4. So that's what I can tell you about it. Also, it's using a mathematical effect called the Catmull-Clark. I guess I'm not even really sure what the technical term is, but it's the method in which it's smoothing this cube. So you can still see my box because I'm in edit mode, and I just exited edit mode. So now you can see how my 6-sided cube has really become a 24-sided smoothed out cube. So this becomes really helpful when you're trying to get organic shapes, or just it's kind of hard to explain. I recommend you play with it to really get the idea. Not very thorough presentation, sorry. All right, and the next one is the bevel modifier. Now, I've heard it said by Andrew Price, actually, when this came out, I think it was his podcast, you know, nothing in this universe has a hard edge, really. You know, there's things that are really sharp. You know, even the sharpest knife, you know, let's just say in our imagination, if it gets sharp to an atom, atoms are still usually, you know, round. So, you know, nothing's really sharp. So, you know, that's where this bevel modifier can be extremely handy. You know, even in a very sharp corner, there's still usually some bit of roundness to it. And again, you can add, there's different features. You know, you can make it smooth by adding more segments. You can make it so that instead of the edges being beveled, just the edges are. Let me take that segment away. And I think this can be yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with this. I'm just going to go ahead and move forward. Let's see. So now I actually had a file that, because of user error, is not with me today. So I wanted to show one modifier that I find has helped me out when I was doing facial rigs. Well, let me show you the modifier first, and then I'll talk about how it's been helpful. So the cast modifier, basically from the origin of your object, and if you don't know, each object has a little dot in the center, and that's your origin. So the cast modifier causes a displacement, or I guess that's what you call it, a displacement where it's pushing your vertices. Now this is causing this cube to kind of burst out. And just like with the array modifier, I have a controller object I've already added. And here's, instead of a cube, I have kind of more of a rectangular shape. That's what it looks like here without the cast modifier applied. And then I have this control object, this sphere. And I'm going to turn it back on. So the controller object actually will show you, you know, this kind of, it displaces your mesh, you know. It's very, I mean, it's a great way. Let me just subdivide this a little more. So, you know, it's a pretty easy way to get the effect of having, like, if you're doing cartoons, you know, it could be like, you know, that bulging pipe, you know, where the water's like being forced through a pipe. So, you know, you can get that. Also, it could be a lump in the throat. What I found it useful for, and this is where I don't have the file, so you'll just have to follow the explanation. I've done some cartoon models where I'm using shape keys to cause an eyelid to go over the eye. And if you do use the shape key with, you know, the base would be the face with the open eyes, and then the shape key is the eyelid closed. But the problem is somewhere in between that, it doesn't follow the, you know, the curve of the eye. It just kind of goes straight through. Well, I've used this to make that round curve. I just make either the eye object or like a an empty inside the eye that will force that shape key to round over the eye. Very, very cool. I wish I had the actual file to demonstrate for you. It's been very helpful for me. All right. Before I move on, any questions? Anybody?
In this case, you can also scale your control object and move it. I mean, other than just location, you can also scale it and rotate it.
You're talking about with
in the cast mode.
Yes. Scaling obviously doesn't do anything. Moving it does, you know. And just to get your imagination going, you can also keyframe that. So, you know, I think it's a really cool modifier. Scaling doesn't. However, if you do want to change the size of that, you can do it inside.
Okay, the parameters.
Yeah, in the parameters. Yeah. So you can see it has. You can even go. It looks negative. So haven't used that yet, but you know. All right. So moving forward. This is the Boolean operator. Basically, it's the same modifier applied to a sphere, and then its extra object, its control object, is this cube. So in the first case, it's cutting away wherever the cube is cutting away on this sphere object. This case, it's becoming one object. You kind of see it better this way. And then this one is cutting the outside. So wherever they intersect, you get the object. And you can just choose that. Here where it says operation, you have the 3 different choices. It's a very, very useful build tool. Okay. Moving on. Any questions? I know I'm kind of going fast.
Then when you apply the modifier, it destructively changes the mesh, correct?
Exactly, yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, like this, right here, it looks like the sphere is, you know, cut up. But, you know, because modifiers are non-destructive, you can turn that off, or you can just completely get rid of the modifier. If you press apply, it makes that permanent, so now it's no longer a sphere. It actually is that cut up. I guess there's now 6 disks. So, and I'll just undo it because I like to keep them on forever. You know, I don't like to permanently change anything I don't have to. So, all right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of overview the 2 newer modifiers that just came out. I did rip off somebody else's demonstration I saw on YouTube. Sorry, just because, like I said, I had a file. It's not here today. So, you know, it made sense to do something quick and easy. Again, I'm an artist. I'm not really a very technical person, so I can't tell you the math and science behind the Laplacian deform modifier. But what I can tell you is it's a way of creating very organic, stretchy-looking deformations within your mesh. And what's neat about it is it keeps detail, or at least, you know, doesn't. I think it works really nicely with detail. You can see that this is a rough-looking star, kind of simulating like a sea star or starfish.
So that has no bones? Like
there's no bones. So essentially what I have here is just the star shape. The roughness is sculpted, you know, like into the geometry. I didn't use anything deform on it except for this. Well, these are empties that have hook modifiers connecting it. And let me just turn off the Laplacian deform modifier, give you an idea of what we're doing here.
What's this called again?
It's the Laplacian deform modifier. I think I'm saying that right. I did research on how to say it. Doesn't seem like, I mean, it wasn't in the dictionary. There's just no, you know.
Lilliputian is fine with me too.
Yeah, I checked with my Mac computer reads to me, so I tried. I asked Alex on my Mac computer, and he said I think it's something like Laplacian or something like that. I don't know, but he said it really funny, and I'm like, that doesn't sound natural to me. So, yeah. So I just turned it off. Now, if this is this is just a basic, you know, mesh object here. And then if you're new and you don't know, another modifier is the hook modifier, in which you can basically assign vertices to follow an object. So I have just the tip of each star point following this empty, or being, you know, connected to it.
It's not weight painting. It's basically that modifier that takes care of the.
I didn't do any weight painting. Yeah. So you know, essentially, and it doesn't have to be a hook. It doesn't have to be, you know, this method. You could use an armature. Anything that forces a particular vertex to move will work with this. So once you have something to actually move your vertices, then you go to your modifiers, add the Laplacian deform modifier, and you bind it. You bind it to, I guess, oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a part. So you have to tell it which vertices control, are kind of like the controllers. So the vertices I'm using to control that are moved by the hooks are also the ones that I want to affect the modifier. And what that's basically going to say is, you know, if you're not these vertices, you need to be affected by them, you know. So I have this group that I created. I'll just go ahead and select it. And, you know, these are all the hooked vertices that affect this object. So now that I have this group, in my deform modifier, you can see it's kind of grayed out. I've already bound, well, I can unbind it, but I think you get the picture. So I put the group in here, and then you press bind. And so this is before you can before the modifiers of affecting it. Thank you. And then this is after. You'll see that it has a nice nice curve to it. So something that I was experimenting with was using an armature and this deform modifier, and I was getting some really great deformation, especially like in wrist areas and things. Where it did me wrong though is once you try to raise the elbow, there's like, you know, my wrist was inverting. You know, it was like a straw that was just, it was terrible. But if I didn't move it too much, I would get these just beautiful like curves and things. So I think it has a lot of potential. I don't know if I just need to figure it out, you know, or if it's something that needs to be developed a little deeper. But so anyways, that's the Laplacian deform. Does anybody have any questions on it? I'm not an expert, but I'll do my best. Maybe somebody in the audience will have an answer. Nothing? All right. So
the answer to your crazy risk thing.
Oh, you know, I had a demonstration, like I said. I mean, this is the third time I say it. User error, file's not here. But it looked good. But did you say? Well,
oftentimes what happens is it's good to set up constraints on like motion constraints, so you can't move things past certain points. And that, like, if you move, for example, even in that starfish, once you move it past this point, it'll flip.
Yeah. The
math will compute and convert the calculation.
Right.
So if you set up constraints so you can't move your empties past certain points, it really helps this model.
It's, you know, and essentially the comment was, if you set up constraints so that the bones don't move so far, they won't flip. You know, that is true. However, you know, there's a degree that I would want it to go in normal animation, and it just wouldn't go that far, you know, which I felt was reasonable for an arm to go, and it started to flip. And it's like, so unless you're just going to be doing these kind of movements, you know what I mean? Once I started going up, you know, it would immediately.
It's really more of a pose modifier too. It's really, if you try to animate with this, you'll like it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you know, you're right. That's happened to me before. I've started animating things with modifiers, and sometimes it works beautifully, and sometimes it's like not meant to do that. But you know, what I think it is, you know, they're both deform modifiers. An armature is a deform modifier, and so is this. And I think just sometimes the numbers, you know, it's just too much deformation for one mesh, I guess. All right, so the other new one is this wireframe modifier. Very nifty. I mean, essentially this frame here is just a cube. with the modifier, it creates geometry to give you a frame. Very handy. Something I've noticed is if you just have the edges, well, let me demonstrate it for you. So I'm just going to cut out all the faces but leave the edges. It's just the modifier doesn't do anything. You have to have faces to use this, which can be neat, because if you take out faces, for instance, it gives you the control to be able to get rid of a couple. And now you can see that the frame, takes on that shape. It's really neat. I've used it for a bunch of different little effects since it's come out. Something you will notice is it's kind of a triangulated extrusion, I guess you could say. On the corners here, you're getting, I guess, that triangular prism. And then where I've cut out, now there's kind of this groove. It's not quite a triangle. There's like that open space. So you can fix that by going to boundaries. There may be a time to use it, but I guess that's up to you. Do you guys see what I'm saying here with right in this area? If I turn that off again, now you have that groove. So this is affected by not an object, but actually you can do it by a vertex group and weight paint. So I've weight painted this so that the top is at 100% strength and the bottom is at 0, and that affects the modifier in this way. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So this one, I've given it a really thick one, and I've added a subsurf modifier to give it a roundness. And the reason I wanted to add this one too is because this crease in the wireframe won't work without a subdivision surface modifier after it. So you'll see when I turn on the crease, it interprets it differently, and then there's a slider to show, to adjust the amount. So this one and the La Place and Deform are 2 new ones. Man, I wish I could had enough time to show the. Let me just explain a couple things too. So, you can have more than one modifier, and depending on the order of the modifiers, they'll affect your object a little differently. So, you can add. Modifiers are kind of like bridges when it comes to effects, like physics simulations. If you're going to have a physics simulation, you're going to go to a different place to edit all that. But any simulation will use a modifier to affect the object, and in the same way, it's non-destructive. You can, just click this X and get rid of your simulations. So yeah, I guess that's essentially it, and I think we're on time then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm going to show a modifier real quick too, the fracture one we've been working on. Any questions for him?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is any time really that it would be beneficial to apply a modifier that you find like when you're working, or like you said, I usually just tend to leave them all on. I don't know if like creates more processing time or less.
I'm not so sure about that. I know. The question is there ever a time when I'm working that I find it's better to apply a modifier? Yes. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a situation, but I think
UV unwrapping.
I usually leave them. I mean, it just depends on the particular project. There's a time where I don't know. Let me think.
If you're Booleaning the model, you would want to always apply it.
That's true. That's true.
Also, if you, for instance, model with using mirror,
yeah,
if you
that's a good one.
You want to UV unwrap it.
That's a perfect example. Yeah,
symmetrical stuff.
That's a perfect example. I would say the mirror modifier is probably the one that I'm applying and then deleting half and re-putting it on back and forth. Because once you create half of a model and it's perfect, like for instance a character, nobody wants to sculpt an eye and try to make that perfect eye, but the mirror modifier gets it done. However, once you want to move past that to to rig and to paint your model and decorate it, make it pretty, that's when you're going to apply it. So there's always reasons. I guess it's just, I think the thing that I found most helpful with these modifiers is I just created a file with every layer was a different modifier, and I just stretched it to as far as it would go. I'm like, can I do this? Can I do this? What happens when I use the object? What happens when I use a vertex group? And I think doing that really kind of got me familiar with everything that modifiers can do. And then so now project, when I'm trying to figure something out, I tend to think about what I want to do first, and then kind of go through the different modifiers to say which one of these looks like that or operates that way. So I don't think there's a rule like apply modifiers now. It's like you just kind of have to get used to what they do on both sides of the application. So
you do have to pay attention to the order, though. You have to think through the order. If you get them backwards, you get some real weird results. But
that's like everybody said.
So I guess that's it. Thanks for having me, and I guess now,
good job,
Mr.
I want to take 1 second to show the fracture modifier that we're working on. The fracture tool that you use, where'd it go? That you used in the game engine. The self fracture is actually in Blender proper. The physics engine also is partially there, and we're developing a modifier now that actually works with the stack that's Veroni and
you need to build up, Bill?
Actually, no, I'm just going to show a video real quick. So
okay, great.
Just going to show a video right out of chat. So I need this. Where's my chat? Come on.
Maybe.
I'm trying to open chat here. I'm going to stop screen share just for a moment. And we're going to show a real quick video. This is his nick is KIAK. He did one together at Scorpion81. So the gentleman working on the video. There we go. And let's see here. And it's sharing the desktop, isn't it? Can you guys see the desktop okay?
It should be sharing.
All right.
Well, I don't know, Dave, can you see our YouTube channel?
Can you see the YouTube channel, Dave?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it just fine.
There we go. That's the new, let me full screen that there.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
Whoa. Whoa. JT's out of control. So this is actually in the modifier. It's in working with the, we'll be working with the physics engine. Right now it's interacting with smoke, it looks like. I'm not sure. He just posted this link. So this is hot off the presses. You can set the shards up in different ways. They've got bisect of Roni. He's got a lot of controls. He's working on a really good workflow, Scorpion81 is.
From inside, that's pretty ridiculous.
So this is in Blender, people, a free piece of software.
Yeah, return your seat to the full and upright position.
So again, since it's in the stack, it interacts with other modifiers.
Awesome.
And this is a special branch right now. I'll post it in the notes after the meeting. I'll put together some notes. Or just get a hold of me, or come in IRC and look for Scorpion81 or KIAK. He's the one that did this video. Yeah, that's Martin. Felk is the, there we go. How are we doing on time? Do we got a second for the breakdown?
We're like 15 minutes over.
All right, I got to cut it short, guys. That looks like that's it.
Awesome.
All right, Dave, we closing down? Sterling?
Cool.
That's it. Thanks for hosting, Dave. Thanks, everybody, for coming online. It was a fantastic meeting. Really enjoyed having you guys online.
Yep.
Thanks, Dave.